Hey guys, Saint here and welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I want to share with you guys my unstoppable range rogue build. It's really fun, really fast, and its map clearing is insane. So much faster than Twisting Blades. Its single target does take a little bit of a hit, but in saying that, I was still able to kill Uber Lilith without her phasing and doing any weird shenanigans, so we could just one phase her, take care of her, skip everything, as well as clearing Nightmare Dungeon 100. The boss damage is quite good, but not as good as Twisting Blades. Obviously, we do use Rapid Fire for the bosses, and then we do use Penetrating Shot for clearing out the whole dungeon and the map, as it just bounces everyone, explodes everything. It's really fun to use. So if you are looking for something different other than Twisting Blades, it's still very strong and very fast, I could highly suggest this build for you guys. So without further ado, let's just hop straight into it. Just a quick little disclaimer before we get into it. There is quite a few uniques in this build. There's actually 4 uniques we are using, but only one of them I would say is more or less mandatory. The rest is really just there to help increase your damage. The one I am talking about is Condemnation. As we know, this is kind of like bugged at the moment, where it makes your resources, your combo points, go over the maximum of 20 if you do actually have Turbo's Will. So these two are working in tandem to give us up to 22 combo points, which will only really just increase your damage. If you are talking about Rapid Fire will increase your damage. And then on Penetrating Shot, it's going to increase your lucky hit chance as well as your damage. So that is just something to keep in mind. But when they do actually change it and update it, I will change the build and update it as well. And we'll probably just drop Condemnation for another aspect and a dagger over there. And we'll just lose a little bit of damage with the combo points as well as a lot of lucky hit. I have the build up on Mobalytics. I'll have this link down below for you guys in the description, so you can go along and follow it through. Everything written up really nice for you guys, as well as the skill tree and the Paragon board that you can reference to. The Paragon board in the link of here is a little bit different to mine in game, as mine in game I don't actually have really good gear, but how I've set it up here in the Paragon board and the skill tree, it is perfectly set up over here. So I would say is follow this instead of what I have in game, as what I have in game is pretty much my old gear from my Twisting Blade setup that I've kind of just converted over to make this build sort of function, which I still, everything you've seen in the background of the footage was all with my badly rolled gear. So this is the optimal way to set everything up. You do have the rolls and everything you want to get there, as well as all the other stuff. So we'll have that down below, but let's just hop straight into the build. Let's start out with the skill tree. Now the skill tree, we are picking up Puncture with Fundamental. Obviously this is our best way of getting vulnerable. There's a little trick you can do later on where you actually pick up one of these cutthroat skills. If you do want to change one of your key passives all the way at the bottom, but I'll speak about that when we get there. So for the meantime, Puncture with Fundamental Puncture, really good source of vulnerability. And then we come on down, we pick up 1 point in Rapid Fire, and then we grab Advanced Rapid Fire. This just helps you with the crit strike damage, as there's 3 points, there's nowhere really else to put them. You've got about 5 free skill points. You could take these 2 out here and these 2 out there, and then you can put them wherever you want, but I've tried them in pretty much every other skill point, and this is just the best, as you will be using Rapid Fire on the higher Nightmare Dungeon bosses. Penetrating Shot just doesn't have enough oomph to take care of them, so I would suggest put a Rapid Fire, Advanced Rapid Fire, and then the little item contribution over there is coming from my gloves, which we'll talk about once we get to the gear. Then I put 1 point in Sturdy and 1 point in Siphoning Strikes, just because I literally have nowhere else to put these 2 points. But like I said, take those 2, put them wherever you want. That's just where I chose to put them. Penetrating Shot, we do max this out, as we'll be using this to clear out pretty much the whole dungeon. We are using Advanced Penetrating Shot as well to slow enemies, and that will cause all of our other crowd control stuff to take effect with them being slowed. Then we come on down to the agility skills. We pick up 1 point in Dash, 1 point in Enhanced Dash, just to get that critical strike when you dash through a boss. So you want to dash through a boss, then you want to spacebar and Rapid Fire, and they will just fall over. And we take 3 points in Weapon Mastery just for increased damage, 1 point in Dark Shroud, and 1 point in Countering Dark Shroud over there just for the increased crit strike chance. If you are farming lower content, you could switch over to this one over here to increase your movement speed. And we get 3 points in Exploit just for more damage, Malice as well, 3 points for more damage as well. And then we come on down to our Imbuements. Now VA, you could play around with these, but this build is focusing on the cold variant, as I am using the Penitent Greaves. So we will get Cold Imbuement with the Mixed Cold Imbuement of there, just increasing damage against your crowd control stuff. And Frigid Finesse, again increasing your damage against chill enemies, which all of them will be chilled because of your Penitent Greaves. And then Shadow Imbuement with the Mixed Shadow Imbuement for more non-physical damage, as we don't really need the vulnerable from there. We have it on our Puncture and everything else with the Exploit Glyph too. Then we pick up 3 points into the Precision Imbuement for some more increased crit strike chance. And then we come on down, we pick up Innovation, just for the energy gen, and Alchemist Fortune for the non-physical damage has a increased lucky hit chance, and we really dip heavily into lucky hit chance with penetrating shot. As you can see there, 58%, and obviously this goes up to like 22 combo points, so it increases that lucky hit chance massively. You pretty much have 100% lucky hit chance or more on penetrating shot. Then we pick up 1 point in Adrenaline Rush to get down to haste for the maximum energy and increased movement speed, and if you're under, then you get attack speed to get your energy back, so it's really nice to work in tandem. And Impervious, again, you can put this wherever you want, although I didn't really find a better place. I put it in there for after moving 12 meters, your next non-basic attack deals 21% increased damage. So when you are in a boss, you move around, because you got to dash through, and then you've got a space bar to proc all your stuff, and in that time you would have definitely moved 12 meters, and you hit your rapid fire, and the boss is just going to fall over with that increased damage. And now we come to the key passive. This is where you can kind of change it up a little bit. Victimize is really good, and it's how we kind of setting up the build, mainly as we are stacking a lot of vulnerable damage. You see our current damage increase on that is 389%. And funny thing, my gear is actually not rolled for vulnerable damage. I still have crowd control damage and stuff from my last build. But like I said in the plan, I have everything set up, so you should easily get to like 400-500% increase over here if you do actually get all the vulnerable rolls, like I suggest in the build planner. But Victimize is going to do a little AoE and stuff. It's really strong. Or you could actually use Close Quarter Combat. This one is really strong because damaging a close enemy with a marksman skill or a cutthroat skill each grant you 10% attack speed. And then while both of those bonuses are active, you deal increased damage to equal 40% of your crowd control bonus. You see I still have a little bit there, 67 from my last version. So all you would have to do is put in a cutthroat skill, is why I said before to remove puncture, and then either take Invigorating Strike. This is really good for some energy gen. Or you could use the Blade Shift as well. It gives you resist all, makes it a little bit more tanky, and you can actually move through enemies. So if you do want increased damage, and maybe if you're doing bossing, you could switch to one of these two instead of puncture, and that will give you quite a substantial amount of increased damage. As well as instead of rolling for vulnerable bonuses on everything, you want to roll for crowd control bonuses. Or you could just do it like I've did and done like a little mix, but I would suggest going with a Victimize, as your single target damage is pretty strong. As well, while we are on that topic, you could switch out probably Cold or Shadow for Poison Imbuement. Actually probably Shadow, since we do have some cold stuff taking effect of increased cold damage, and then put on Poison Imbuement and use that for bosses. And that is it for the skill tree. Now let's go over and have a look at the Paragon board. Like I said, mine is a little bit different to the one in the link, because I've actually picked up auras and stuff as my gear. I haven't got the rolls for the resistances that I need, but I highly suggest you roll for them on your gear so that you can actually use all your points you have for increased damage. But this is how I have my first board with Ranger in there. Your most important glyph straight away, I would level this one up to 15 as soon as you can, as marksman skill damage is all your damage for AoE and single target. And then we come up into the Cunning Stratagem board, and we want to pick up Exploit over here, probably the second most important, as vulnerable damage does scale a lot with our passive, our skill, the Victimize there with the vulnerable damage. So grabbing Exploit over there is just going to increase all your vulnerable damage and all the bonuses and that as well, with some core skill damage, and over there some more core skill and just some armor in this tree. And then we move on to the Exploit weakness one, again dipping into the vulnerable, making them take increased damage from us. And we pick up the combat glyph on this tree, and we move up into the next tree over here, no witnesses, with infusion over there for our infusions, our imbuements. When you use one, it'll reduce the cooldown of the other one, so you can switch between the two while you're doing and clearing out the dungeon really fast. And it also increases the damage as well, so all of this just multiplies, adding on top of each other. Then we come over to the right into the tricks of the trade board, picking up the chip over here for increased physical damage. I would say this is probably the least important glyph out of the build. I might actually swap this one out for the new Zia glyph once we do get that in the update. And we finish it off on the cheap shot board with control. This one is just a whole board about control pretty much, as the glyph and the legendary node are increasing your crowd control damage. So really strong over there for increasing your damage. But this one is a little bit scuffed. I would say definitely follow the one in the build planner, as that is the perfected one. And now let's take a quick look at our gear. Actually, let's rather look at it in the build planner, as over here this is how it should be. So on the helm we have Aspect of the Might for basic skill damage reduction. When you do use it, you'll be using your basic skill a lot. And as well on the weapon we have the Rapid Aspect to increase your attack speed. I was actually playing around with acceleration on the weapon, but you do need it crits with your core to get that attack speed. So this is actually better, as you will be using your basic attacks very often to build up the combo points so you can use the massive damage bonus from the penetrating shot and the 22 combo points. The rolls you want on your helm is total armor, cooldown, and then fire and lightning res. You can just get any 2 reses you want, although what you don't want to get on your armor pieces is cold res, because Pentanent Greaves actually do have cold resistance. You want to grab 2 reses on your helm and 2 reses on your chest, or you could go for 3 reses on the chest and then 1 res on the helm. Just make sure you grab at least all 4 of the reses on your 2 armor pieces, and then the last one will be the cold one of you, will be covered by Pentanent Greaves. So you'll have your reses maxed out. I can show you in game real quick. I only have 2 reses on my gear, and that puts me at, see, I've only got these 2 capped out, and the other ones I have gems in them over there, but they're still not capped out. So I could be even tankier than what I am. So I would definitely say go for the rolls like this. And then we move on to the chest for the Umbrous aspect of it, giving you that free Dark Shroud when you use, or when you crit with any of your marksman skills, which is pretty much all of our skills on the bar. Rolls on that, total armor, max life, and then the 2 resistances you are missing. Then we move on to the gloves. We are using the Grasp of Shadow. These are actually really strong as they give you a load of core skills plus 6, as well as a chance to summon the Shadow Clone that mimics your attacks. So on the bosses, this could like double hit rapid fires, and when you are clearing trash packs, it could double hit penetrating shots. So it does turn out to be a massive amount of damage, and the rolls on it aren't too bad overall, especially with plus 6 to both of your core skills, which you will be using, so you don't need to get those on a legendary glove. So move down to Tybalt's Will. Everybody knows this by now. It gives you massive amount of damage when you are unstoppable, as well as some of your primary resource. And the roll over there, the maximum resource, is what actually makes our combo points go above 3 points. So that is why it is there. So you want to try and get maximum roll on these with the resource being capped out and not worrying too much about the damage at the bottom. I mean, obviously, if you can get 40% increase, you definitely go for that, but the maximum resource is going to end up giving you more damage overall. Let's come back to the next one. Obviously, the Pentanent Greaves over there with the cold res and just the trail that chills everything, as well as giving you increased damage to chilled enemies. And then this double dips into your tree as well, your skill tree, that gives you the increase on chilled enemies. Then we got our crossbow here with rapid aspect. Our stats on there, we want Dex, all stats, vulnerable, and crowd controlled. I would say those are probably the most important ones. And Dex and all stats is quite important, as let me show you guys for an example. On my dagger over here, I don't have all stats, and I have another dagger with as an example. This is minimum rolls. You see the all stats is plus 20. So if we take that plus 20 all stats, then we come over to my Paragon Tree and we look at this node over here, focused. I'm missing 15 intellect to actually get that, so it'll be 32% damage to elites. That's a lot of damage, as well as the physical damage increase. Then over here again, we are missing 6 points in strength, so they'll go up to 200 armor, just a little bit extra armor. And then down here we are missing 15 intellect as well, so they'll go up to 30% crit strike damage, and I believe the physical will also go up as well. So we are missing quite a lot of damage from these 3 things, and the only thing I'm missing is the all stat roll on my dagger. And then in this tree, this is way too far away to actually get a hold of, but it's the least effective one out of all of the rest. All of the rest you pretty much have covered from the Paragon board, but then for this last board, you really need to try and get all stats on your dagger and your weapon to actually go ahead and fill these out. Or maybe even you could go for intellect or strength, but I would just say get the dex along with the all stats, like I have it pointed out over here. Where is it? Dex, all stats, vulnerable, and damage to crowd control, as well as on the weapon. Same stats, dex, all stats, vulnerable, and crowd control. So that is really important to try and get. For our amulet, we have aspect of disobedience, giving us a massive amount of armor. I believe it's up to like 99% if you max it out. I actually don't have it on my amulet. See, I have the wrong stuff up here. I have it on my chest. So like I said, my gear is very not optimized, and I was still able to pull it off. So just make sure you get aspect disobedience on your amulet. Rolls, you want total armor, cooldown, ranks to the Malice Bastard, that's going to give you increased damage to vulnerable again, as well as damage reduction. This could be damage reduction from close, far, whatever you prefer. Just damage reduction overall is really helpful. And then for our rings, the stats we want on them is crit strike, lucky hit, max life, and vulnerable damage, as vulnerable damage does scale with everything. And the aspect we want over here is the trick shot aspect, just going to make your pen shot hit more AoE. It's going to split off into 2 extra arrows. And then we want Edge Masters on the other ring, as we're pretty much going to always be at full resource anyway. So it's just going to give us a flat 20% increased damage. And then our last aspect on the weapon, we want aspect of the Expectant. This will give you, with basic skills, increase the damage of your next core skill up to 30%. And you'll pretty much always be casting, if you have a max roll on this, it takes 3 basic attacks. to then have the 30% bonus for your core skill, and you need to do at least 3 hits to get your combo points up, so this will just work really good and then give you that flat damage increase. And then our other dagger is obviously the Condemnation, taking use of the core skill over there and the combo points building up over past the 3 points. Then let's have a look at our vampires. Let's actually hop back in game for this, a little bit easier to see. So we got Metamorphosis. This is mandatory, you need this to get your Unstoppable. Main thing why we use it, we don't really use it for the curse, we just use it for the unstoppable. So you want to hit space, it's going to proc that, and it's going to also proc the crit chance on your rapid fire. So definitely those two are really important for bosses. And then make sure to dash through the boss as well. So you want to dash through the boss, space bar up, and then build up your 3 combo points, put on one of your Bumens, hit rapid fire, and the boss will just fall over. Then we have Ravenous over here just to increase your attack speed. More attack speed will also go up with your movement speed. And I'm going to see our current bonus there is 54%. Then we have Prey on the Weak for increased damage against vulnerable enemies. Everything is going to be vulnerable. This one over here, Sanguine Brace, you can really play around with whatever you like. I like Sanguine Brace, but a lot of people do actually like, where is it, Resilience, this one over here. But I like to just have the damage reduction from being fortified, as well as getting the crit strike chance 8% when you are fortified for more than half of your maximum life. So you do just get that crit strike there, as well as damage reduction from the fortified. And then last but not least, we have Undying over there for just the increased healing. This is pretty much just a better Siphoning Strikes. So that's why Siphoning Strikes, you don't really need it anymore at all. And they've kind of nerfed it into the ground. So Undying just replaces that, just heals you. And while you are under 50% life, it heals you even more, doubles the bonus. So that is pretty much everything. Obviously, it's combo points as well. Make sure you pick up your combo points, as we will be taking effect of the 22 combo points to delete everything. I have another idea of turning this into a full-on poison version with the X-Falls, so I can't wait to try that out and play around with it. Hopefully you guys liked the build. If you did, please drop a like and a sub to the channel. Helps me out so much, and I'll catch you beautiful people in the next one. Say and out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying.